Hello, everyone. Welcome to Self-Love Self-Care System Conversations with Experts. Today we have Adam Sanders. Adam is a drums, guitar, and bass teacher. He also does music theory and production. Adam received his Guildhall Grade 8 at age 18. Then he moved on to his RSL certificate in music production. He received a first-class BA honours degree in music and production. He also has a postgraduate certificate of education. He's been teaching drums and bass and guitar for 15 years and performing for even longer. His experience covers an enormous range of genres from both theoretical and practical applications. Adam's energetic and naturally personable and patient teaching style, alongside his studies in teaching special educational needs and disabilities, add to his teaching style. So hello, Adam. Thank you for joining the show.
Hello. It is my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Adam. So do you believe learning to play instruments can help with, because we talked about the mental and emotional, and we talked about bringing out what you might think of inside and what you feel inside. What about, do you think that learning an instrument can bring in more confidence? Can it help people to step up in different ways in their lives, do you think that can happen?
Absolutely. I think, well, number one, I would say, is most humans, as a generalization, are questing for some sort of identity. And I think playing an instrument can really start to give you that identity. I mean, whoever you are, especially when you're in your sort of searching teenage years, if you play guitar or drums, then you are suddenly more than just yourself. You're a guitarist, you're a drummer. That's what you're known for around school. And that's a really cool feeling, because that's what your idols are known for as well. And then suddenly it makes you feel like you're that one step closer to those people. And then I think as you move through life as well, lots of people obviously would play an instrument in school and then they kind of give it up, they get their straight job, they have a family. And then I think starting to play an instrument again can kind of remind them again of who they are, and remind them that they sort of have a life and they can do some things, some really cool things, which aren't just like all of those other commitments and all of those other things which I don't know, your standard nuclear family would do. And it's just a way of feeling like you're getting a little bit more and you're being a little bit more yourself. So that's definitely a part of it. And as far as confidence goes, yeah, look at me. I used to be a shell of a man before I started playing guitar.
You started learning stuff when you were 13 or even before. I mean, you were not a man then. You were a young boy. You've always been confident. It must be. You must have always been confident.
To be fair, I used to, like, when I was 6, I used to make my parents come and watch magic shows that I'd put on and stuff. So I've always had a certain confidence and always a certain showmanship.
So air of theatrics there. So
exactly.
You could have gone into TV if you hadn't have quite done this sort of gone this way, maybe.
I could have done. Like I've also thought about, like, in the past, like I thought about trying to do something like transition into something radio based as well, because I love talking. Talking's wicked.
You're not as good as me.
Yeah. So that's something I may indeed try in the future as well.
I think I have the accolade. I always wanted to do radio. I remember when I was younger and I did hospital radio, and I was like, because I love to talk.
Yeah.
And I want to talk, but it's not as much talking as you think it is. It really isn't. It's not, unless you've got like a talk show. You'd need a talk show, wouldn't you? You need something.
A talk show would be good.
Talk a lot. You could do something on like instruments or something like that, couldn't you?
I'm happy to do anything. I'll turn my hand to any topic. Let's talk about brains.
You just made me forget my next question now, because I didn't write it down.
It's okay. You got it. It's going to be a good question, I can tell. We'll get up. We're ready.
No, I was actually going to comment on the fact that I'm learning, not really properly learning, but I'm going to drum lessons with Adam, right? And it's been really strange for me, because like I remember going in, well, Adam will remember anyway, when I first went in there. I think it was during the time when there were screens and everything. So I was behind a screen. That was the first thing. And then I sat there and I picked up these drumsticks and thought, why am I here? So why am I here? I remember thinking this. But one of the things I would say that I felt was I felt so in tune with being there in that space. So for me, it did. And actually, where you say about the whole confidence thing, I wouldn't say it's given me any extra confidence as such. But I think when you do new things, I think this is about doing something new. When you do new things, if you learn to play the guitar, or you learn to play drums, or you do something new, then I think that you get this level of change within you, within your sort of repertoire and stuff like that. So the next question I wanted to ask you was, for you, did you have an actual, when you were younger, did you have an actual plan of which instruments you were going to learn when? And do you still want to learn more instruments now? Do you still feel that, or is that not part of how you feel nowadays?
So I didn't really have a plan as such. I was more of a victim of circumstance. So like I said, I kind of started learning guitar first because that was something I could physically learn at school. I started learning drums because I wanted to learn drums, and then there was a really cheap drum kit at a boot sale that we were at. So it was like, I can afford that. So I bought it. And then that's kind of how that started. And then it was sort of like, well, if I'm going to make lots of noise, then I best know how to do it. So that was all completely circumstantial, to be fair. But yeah, like I'm learning other instruments now. Like I'm learning because I really like ska music, and I've been in a good few ska bands over the years. And the thing that's always really impossible to find is like a really good trombone player, because most trombone players, as a generalization, have had a classical upbringing.
Yeah.
Very few people with an interest in popular music learn those kind of instruments because well, they're massive nerds. So learning trombone is something I'm doing at the moment, and I dabble in other things as well. Like I really like blues, so I kind of started doing some mouth organ stuff at one point as well. But I wouldn't say that I am a dedicated learner to either of those in the way that I'd expect my learners to be, because yeah, just busyness.
Just busy. I think I get the impression that it's like filling time with you. I fill all my time with something. I need to do something. I need to do something. So the whole teaching and learning thing. So when you're teaching and like when you're helping students to actually learn to play an instrument, what is your main focus with what you want to see them grasp and how you want them to feel afterwards, after a lesson? How would you verbalize that?
So my main mission for absolutely anybody, any age, with any specific goals, is just simply to leave the lesson feeling good about themselves. Like whatever they've managed to do in that lesson, if they've managed to like crack something they've been working on for a while, or if they just do something that they thought they'd never be able to do, I think I would want any learner to leave the lesson having maybe exceeded their own expectations for themselves. That's the mission every single time.
I like it. Yeah, I like that. You need to work harder with me then. No, it's funny. I sometimes go in there quite nervous because I'm just not in the mood, or I just don't want to be drumming that day. And so I just think, don't really want to be doing this. So you probably get that quite a lot, don't you? But I think actually in teaching, because I obviously, I'm a teacher as well, I think that happens a lot. Anyway, you have these moments where the person just isn't in the mood, and then you have some moments where they just excel so much, and you think, last week they were like this, and this week they were like this. So that's
that's the magic of being a teacher, though, isn't it? Like you have to turn that around, and that's why to be a good teacher, it's not about being like a phenomenal drummer or a phenomenal guitarist. It's just about being able to communicate with people, because then, I mean, in those situations, the first mission is to try and turn that around, right, and try and make that student more receptive. So yeah, that becomes mission one, rather than, oh, I need to get you playing the drums.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine that is a thing. So you have moved on to teaching on Zoom now, haven't you?
Yes.
So are you available to anyone so long as they're willing to come on Zoom and learn a lesson, or do you have a specific sort of remit for who can come and do Zoom lessons with you?
Absolutely not. Anybody at all. If you've got an instrument at home, then it's possible.
Yeah, of course they'd need an instrument, because otherwise it won't work, would it?
Yeah. So, yeah. If they've got an instrument at home, then it is absolutely possible. There aren't too many restrictions to Zoom as a format, to be honest. I'm sure as you have got used to from doing the interviews in this style, is you just have to get used to really judge when people are going to talk and stop talking at those points. So you
Something
don't
I'm not good at.
so you don't cancel each other out. But aside from that, yeah, it's absolutely fine.
It's really interesting you say that, because I remember when I did my first lot of interviews and I was like, must keep quiet, because like yourself, I love to talk as well. Really, I probably should do a podcast really where I just talk and talk and talk, and everyone just has to then listen to me. So what is your favorite experience that you've had while you've been teaching? One of like a sort of like a talking point, or something that you learned about yourself or you learned about your students while you've been teaching, since you've been teaching for a long time?
I think probably the most notable experiences that I take away from teaching is whenever I do anything group based, because obviously I do private one-to-one lessons, I do like lots of group stuff on a private basis, but also I've like taught in colleges, universities, and things like that. And I think probably my most notable points that really stick, and the real satisfaction, is like teaching a group of people at the same time. Because I think the energy that you need to do something like that, the energy just has to be so high the entire time. And you're just bouncing from person to person and just keeping everybody managed. And I think when you genuinely leave the room and you've succeeded in that, then that is just an amazing feeling.
I love that. Now I get it. Now I get it why you want so many people there. I did wonder about that, because I thought Adam's always got different people, loads of different people like being taught together. So you like that energy and that vibe that it creates.
That's really group dynamics amazing. And then because you're forced, the hardest thing to do as a teacher is differentiate between learners' abilities. So when you've got a group of people, you are absolutely forced to do it, and it just pushes you to be that little bit more innovative. You can't just sort of get lazy with it and like, okay, we're going to do this. You need to really think, and it inspires you to do that.
Interesting, right. So any sort of words of wisdom from yourself about music and about learning music, and about sort of just like maybe kind of like a little bit of a soundbite about what you'd say if someone was thinking of learning an instrument?
Okay, so learning an instrument will be one of the most rewarding things you ever do, whoever you are. People have only ever regretted stopping learning instruments. Nobody has ever regretted started learning an instrument. That's just never happened in the history of the universe. So learning an instrument can get you more in touch with yourself, who you are. It can give you a break from the stresses of life. Effectively, the greatest thing about learning an instrument is it can serve whatever purpose you want it to. It could be pure fun. It could be a developmental process in which you show yourself your own abilities and what you can do. It can be an escape from real life. It can be any of those things, and all of them, if you want it to be.
I like that. That's really true. It was definitely an escape from life for me. When I do it for that little hour and I'm like, oh, I'm just not paying any attention to what Adam's saying, basically. What I like. It's
Good.
like, I mean, what are you doing? I didn't even say that.
That can be the advert. That can be like the soundbite of a review. I don't listen to Adam.
Just do whatever I like. You got me on your little thing with like Heather says, don't worry about it. You just do what you like in lessons. Oh dear. Well, it's quite funny. Yeah, it is. It's an interesting. If you've never learned an instrument, I would say try something in your life at least once, because it is really. It was something I was actually resistant. I have to be honest. I was really resistant. I was like, why am I doing this? I won't even like it. I expected to only go to one lesson. But I haven't been to that many anyway, but I did only expect to go to one. And then I went to more and I thought, no, it's actually quite good. I quite like it. But it's not like I'm trying to be like a professional or anything. It's just for me. It gives me a space to do something that is nothing like what I do any other time in my days, So yeah, exactly. So I do see it like that. So that's how I see it. So yes. So now we're on to the fun questions. I love the fun. Yeah, I love the fun questions. So I ask people these, and they normally go, I don't know.
There's one thing I can tell you right now. I absolutely know.
You may not, because you don't know what I'm going to ask you yet.
No, I'm ready for it. I'm so psyched up. I've never been this psyched for anything in my life.
Right, Adam. what is your, and it depends, do you read before I go into this question?
I mean, I can read certain sentences.
I meant you read books.
I know. I have read some books. If you ask me a question about books, I feel like I could maybe answer it.
All I want to know is what your favourite books are. Have you got a favourite book?
Okay, so I am not really a fan of fiction. If I'm going to read a book, it will be not necessarily something educational, but something speculative about a subject that I'm interested in. Like, for instance, I got one of Darren Brown's books in which he talks about like the breakdown of the psychology of the human mind, which is really interesting because that really interests me. I also really like Louis Theroux, and he's done a few books as well. So I mean, he's one of my favorite people ever. So I also just like reading what Louis Theroux has to say, but I'm not much of a fiction-y sort of person. I mean, I bailed out of that Harry Potter.
I see. Okay. Yeah, most people, when I ask these questions, they go, I don't know, I don't read. or, you know, I don't know. What about movies? What is your favorite ever film?
So I am going to be so completely cliche, and you're going to be like, well, that was obvious. But my favorite film is The Blues Brothers, which of course is about putting a band together. Cliche. There's also another really wicked film as well that I'm going to mention, just in case one person listens to this and actually goes and watches it, which would be, it's a film called That Thing You Do. Which is written by Tom Hanks, and that is another film about a band, but it's about like a 60s band like the Beatles, and Tom Hanks is in it, and everyone loves Tom Hanks, and it has a really wicked soundtrack, so everybody should watch it.
Interesting. So I'm seeing there's a kind of a one track Adam where it's all linked to what you do. I'm quite diverse. I like everything. I'm always watching movies, I'm always reading books and that kind of thing. Okay, so Adam, what is your favorite food ever?
Bolognese.
That was easy, wasn't it? I know my favorite food. I know my favorite food.
That's because there are very few times in a day that I'm not thinking about bolognese. So really, I could say that at any point. Fortunately, you asked the question, what is your favorite food? So it was relevant at this point.
You were like, yes, I get to say it. What is your favorite drink? Favorite drink?
My favorite drink is, I'd probably go with Mountain Dew. Sugar-free. My body's a temple. Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Comes in a fluorescent green bottle.
Mine's so boring, it'd be water, because I'm just so boring. It's always water.
That's because you're healthy. Hydration is key, right?
I quite like tea, but it's like green tea, so that's really boring as well, isn't it?
I don't know. At least it's not regular tea. At least it's got a colour to it.
Okay, what other questions? So you're completely throwing me, because I'm like, normally people are really stuck and so they don't know. So it takes them ages and gives me time to think about my next question. So what was your most favorite holiday that you've ever been on, and where was it?
My most favorite holiday, well, it's always, oh my god, that's a difficult question. See, now you've hit me. Now you've stumped me. Think away of that next question. So it would either have to be, because here's something that will be a bit of a curveball. You'll love this, because this isn't like some crazy music story. I love Disneyland, Paris. I love Disney parks. I love roller coasters. I love feeling the adrenaline soar through my body of being thrown around very high up in the air. So I love Disney parks, and I go to Disneyland Paris a couple of times a year. So I wouldn't say like a specific holiday, but I love Disneyland Paris. And my spiritual home is Cornwall. So we go there many times a year because I love surfing and I love paddleboarding. I love all that stuff that involves water. So I wouldn't say a specific holiday as such, but either of those as like my holiday destinations would be pretty sick.
Oh, I really want to go to Newquay because I've never been there. But yeah,
Have you not?
No, I've never been. It's on my list. It's on my list of things to do.
I can totally see you getting on very well in Newquay.
I'd like to do some surfing.
Yeah. It's just Newquay is like sort of a really chilled vibe, and everyone like is not like they are in Essex, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, that's pretty good.
I might edit that out.
Obviously, generalization. I'm not talking about everyone from Essex. I'm just talking about the people who know who they are from Essex.
I'm so kind. I'm like, do you want to upset anybody? I don't want to upset anybody. Okay, so what's your favorite band?
Favourite band, Blink 182.
Okay. And have you got another one that comes in close second?
A close second to Blink 182 at the moment, actually. So my second favourite band teeters over the weeks, and it's usually someone sort of semi-new that I'm listening to. And at the moment, I'm listening to a band called Millington, who are possibly the greatest thing to ever happen to the earth. So yeah, you should check them out.
I will check them out because I don't know who they are. So yes, they are. They sound different. I don't know. We've got different. I don't know. My music taste is really eclectic now. I've got older, because I used to be I was really like, I only like this type of music and I won't listen to anything different. And then as I got older, I started to just bring in any old different type of genre, because I felt that it was nice to diversify and not just say I only listening to this one type of music. So yeah. And what about when you were younger, when you were like a teenager? What was your favorite music then? What was your favorite band then?
Oh, when I was a teenager, it was all so absolutely typical and cliche. Like, obviously, I liked Nirvana, because everyone likes Nirvana when they start playing an instrument when they're a teenager. It's also moody, and also it speaks volumes about my soul and so on. So I like Nirvana. I was quite into like some new metal bands as well. Like, that was when Linkin Park were kind of doing interesting things, and then there was Limp Bizkit on the other side of the water there. So I like bands like that. But I did start liking Blink-182 around then as well. But I was more into the heavier stuff, and then I got more and more into the pop punky stuff.
Interesting. It is interesting because I love that whole thing, especially with people who play music, because I think people who play music have got a lot more to say about music in some ways, because they're looking at it in a very different way. They're listening to sounds and listening to the instruments in it and stuff like that. So I do find it quite interesting. So yes, so there you go, Adam, that's your interview. Thank you so much. Can you tell everyone where they can find you and how they can access your teaching and things that you offer?
Absolutely. So I am the main guy at Card Trick Music, which is a recording rehearsal and tuition studio based in Chelmsford in Essex. So if you do Facebook / Card Trick Music, or Card Trick Music on Instagram, or Card Trick Music on the general internet, then you will find our website. And my name is Adam Sanders, and you will find me associated with that name because I built it using my very hands. So I am built into Card Trick Music as well, and then you can look at pictures of my face, which is awesome.
Thank you everyone for watching this very fun video and interview with Adam. It's been an absolute pleasure. You know where you can find me. I'm at www.selfloveselfcaresystem.com, and I've also got my Facebook page, which is the coaching page and the angel page, and I will speak to you soon. Take care of yourselves. Have a lovely rest of the week wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Namaste everyone. Bye-bye from me, and bye-bye from
Adam.
Take care. Bye. Lots of love. Bye.